Here we are on the afternoon drive, diving into the latest on the Vancouver Canucks and what's been written about in regards to highly paid forward Elias Pettersson. You see, earlier this morning, the triple threat Iain MacIntyre went out there on sportsnet.ca and asked the question, what are realistic expectations for Pettersson after a major scoring slide? I'm going to leave a link in the description to this article. It is great because it goes over a lot of new pieces of information that a lot of Canucks fans have been digging their teeth into throughout the course of the evening. Now, let's just establish where we're at. Elias Pettersson is 27 years old. He is still on that $11.6 million AAV contract. He's already played 2 seasons worth of the deal. He has 6 more years, and obviously, when you consider the dollar amount itself and the amount of points he has been achieving, that doesn't really look all too great. 45 points in 64 games last year, 51 points in 74 games this year. By the 64-game mark in 25-26, Pettersson also had 45 points, so he hasn't really gotten better in terms of the point production. Sure, there were glimpses, there were moments where Pettersson was more willing to shoot the puck, but ultimately, this is a very different player compared to the 100-point superstar, the NHL All-Star that Pettersson was once upon a time. But this article goes into some pretty interesting ideas. There were a few excerpts posted on the Canucks subreddit too, pretty much the biggest highlights that a lot of people have been talking about. Iain MacIntyre wrote in his article, "It should be noted that Pettersson is not a detriment to his teammates. According to people inside the team, he takes up little space in the dressing room. He is quiet, a good teammate, and he tries hard. He is still shifty with the puck, even if he doesn't shoot enough or move his feet. And he led all NHL forwards with 108 blocked shots this season. Pettersson is not a leader, but neither is he a problem in the room." Now, we understand that being quiet and not really having that bold personality sets you up as a target of some sorts in the event that you have some vultures in that locker room. And I think that's exactly what happened with JT Miller over the past few years. Obviously, I'm not in the room. I don't know these guys personally, but based off of everything we have been hearing, that would make sense in my mind if Pettersson was an easy target of some sorts for players with bolder, stronger personalities like JT Miller, especially when JT has gone out there with the specific instruction, hey, toughen up Pettersson, that's your goal. That was a very bad decision on behalf of the Vancouver Canucks and their management. This comment was also making the rounds too. "As players, we need to be better," Pettersson said in Edmonton. "The front office needs to be better. All of us need to be better as a whole operation. It won't come overnight, but if we do the right things over time, good things will happen, I believe." Pettersson genuinely goes out there and calls out the front office, a front office that has since changed a little bit. No more Patrick Allvin, so things are a tad different. But the comments on this one are interesting. Good for Petey to call out this front office. It's also interesting that IMAC was saying multiple veterans tested poorly at training camp. Now, where is that coming from? Well, if we take a look at Jason Bruff's Twitter account, he went out there and posted this little excerpt from the article. "Pettersson tested disappointingly at training camp. Enough of the veteran Canucks were near the bottom of the fitness standings that staff did not post conditioning results for all players to see. But Petey added 6 kilos and was stronger." Now that's tough, honestly. Adding 6 kilograms over the span of one summer, no wonder the guy wasn't necessarily moving as quickly as he was in previous seasons. We understand that Elias Pettersson needs to be stronger. Part of the reason he earned the nickname Bambi amongst Canucks fans and other NHL fans earlier in his career was because the guy just falls down all the time. You can say that getting more weight, getting more stability is an element that will help in that respect, but you also sacrifice a little bit of mobility and pace if you add 6 kilograms over the span of a few months. Even more yeesh is when players start calling out the front office. Yeah, there's the front office needs to be better. How come we are focusing on PD when it says enough of the veterans posted poorly that they didn't post results? It doesn't exonerate him, but it isn't alone, and that gets back to your question to Alvin about culture. With the Sedins here, this is just unacceptable. Good point, eh? How do you have veteran guys going out there and showing off disappointingly in fitness camp when the gosh darn marathon running kings of the grouse grind, Henrik and Daniel Sedin, are both in this organization? The standard that those two set in previous years was so high that it's almost uncanny to acknowledge the idea that a Sedin-employed team can have veterans that show off poorly in fitness training and fitness results. It just doesn't make any sense. Going back over to the article, let's just briefly skim what it is IMAC is talking about in regards to Pettersson. At the end of a brief conversation, when Pettersson was asked if he had expected to at least do better than his 15-goal, 45-point disaster in 24-25, he had paused and then deadpanned. Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard. He said that shortly before this previous season began. 74 games later for Pettersson, the 27-year-old finished with 15 goals and 51 points, in 10 more games than the previous season, as the Canucks cratered and were last in the NHL by 14 points. Late in the regular season, my boss asked if it was time for another What's Wrong with Pettersson story. My response was, maybe nothing's wrong. Maybe this is who he is now, a 50-point second-line center who plays with a defensive conscience, blocks shots, and exasperates fans and coaches alike because he is capable of so much more. Goodness, IMAC, bringing the heat over here. Not necessarily saying that, yeah, Petey sucks, but just saying that, yeah, maybe this is what Pettersson is. Maybe he is just limited now. His ceiling of what he is capable of will always be there, but maybe this is just the new reality of what he is. Take a look at this over here. This is the third straight offseason where the narrative around Pettersson is the same. He needs a big summer to train and work on his game, so he has the chance to rebound next year. But maybe this is who he is now. He's been disappointing, obviously, Canucks president Jim Rutherford said at a season-ending press conference 11 days ago. I think there's a lot of good things that he did. He tried to become a two-way player, and, he's tried to do the things that it ultimately takes to win as a team. But his production is down so much. It's difficult, right? Rutherford continued, "It's the same as anything people do in life. Preparation is the key to success. And I don't believe he has put enough preparation at this point to be the player he needs to be. But he's young enough, he's capable of doing it, and if he does the things he's told to do, he has a chance to succeed here. But if he doesn't, the next GM is going to have to make a decision." Bold quotes from Jim Rutherford. Patrick Allvin also said the same thing at the end of the 2024 season. It comes back to expectations and preparation. How do you prepare yourself? I don't believe that he was aware of just how hard it was going to be. Just because you achieve one thing to get a long-term extension, life just gets harder. You haven't really accomplished anything. You're not even halfway there to winning a Stanley Cup. And then obviously the mental part comes in there too. And you feel the pressure. He tested disappointingly at training camp. He finished with 51 points. Pettersson's game was not the same after he had returned at the start of December. He's got to be better. He knows that. He's aware of that. He's got to play with more zip. I mean, this is a lot of stuff that we had seen before, but ultimately, I think it's an intriguing look at what Pettersson is versus what he should be versus what he could be. You can debate that the could be and the should be is essentially the same. What he is, though, is definitely different. At the end of the article, this is what it's that same, we need to be better, front office needs to be better, it won't come overnight, but if we do the right things over time, good things will happen, I believe, quote from EP40. I do find it interesting that the front office was put in a position to get criticized in this article. Pettersson generally is a non-confrontational dude, it seems. So for him to straight up say that the front office management needs to be better too, I do find that quite endearing and pretty steering in the right direction of where the Canucks are, at the very least. So, with that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Iain MacIntyre's newest piece on EP40? It'll be linked in the description if you want to read more, because of course we didn't dive into every single word in this video. But I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.